Hello, hello. It is week 8. I am Brian Baker still. And yeah, this is our last week together. So that end of the semester just sort of, or end of the term, I should say, just sort of snuck up on me. Not only do we lose 2 weeks in summer, this is my first summer with Oregon State, by the way, you also don't have a finals week. So it's kind of like losing 3 weeks, really. So, point being, what we're going to do is sort of condense some stuff here at the end. There are two more units. I'm going to combine them together and put them into this week. But there are no assignments from those 2 units. So technically they're optional. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're sort of running out of time, but I want you to have access to that material if you want to go over it and actually, expand your skills. Really, the last units are just about using other people's code in your programs. So going out and finding libraries that might be useful, stuff like that. Anyway, at this point, the advantage of that is being able to sort of parse large amounts of data. And you've kind of already gotten a bit of experience with our last programming project, right? We were able to pull JSON data from NPR and parse it and just create a little CSV file that you could then open in Excel and do whatever you want. If it was something more numeric based, you could actually run calculations to figure out averages or probabilities of stuff happening or whatever. And there's lots of that JSON data out there in the world. In fact, I think it's data.gov is a site that you can visit. It has all sorts of information from sort of housing and income, and there's a lot of COVID information on there right now, which is interesting considering the whole White House CDC, but whatever. There's a lot of great information out there, all in JSON data, right? Which that you can now convert into a dictionary, parse, and run averages, do whatever kind of math stuff you want to do on it. A lot of people are finding value sort of as data is sort of dominating and driving decisions in the world, that where there's a lot of value where you can gain insights is actually by grabbing data from one situation or like one source and grabbing data from another source and then sort of mixing those two things together in kind of a mashup where you can sort of say, hey, you know what? I'm taking these, this information about automobile accidents in the city of Fresno or whatever, and then I'm comparing it with something else where I can kind of try to maybe match, some demographics. Anyway, there's lots of great ways of getting insight. I can't necessarily tell you how to do that because it's very, very dependent on what discipline you're talking about. If you're dealing with healthcare, there's probably stuff in there that I wouldn't know, but there's a ton of healthcare information on COVID on data.gov right now. Point being, the whole world is surrounded with data, and your ability to be able to take that data and find meaning in it is hopefully going to help your career, regardless of what discipline you're in. So yeah, I want you to have access to those last two modules, but there are no assignments from it. Your only assignment this week is the final exam. The final exam is going to be 45 questions, multiple choice. There's no time limit on it, and it does not need to be proctored. The questions from the last two modules have been removed, and so yeah, it is the sort of last thing. Obviously, open note, open book. Try not to cheat and work with somebody. Your professional programmer friend. Don't have them sitting over your shoulder, but to an extent, this is the best we can do under the circumstances. So yeah, hopefully it's a good last experience, a chance to sort of swing for the fences. Like I said, it's all multiple choice. The questions are going to start out really light because chapter 1 or the first module is really light, but it does get into sort of hey, what line of code would work here, what line of code would work here, etc. So yeah, our last experience. Hopefully you had a good time in the class. Hopefully you gained something that might have some value later on, or at least started you in a direction where you can find yourself maybe a little bit more apt to, be able to manipulate data for your own career advancement, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you can actually do some good for the world too. So yeah, have a great week. If you need anything, just send me a message. I know some people are turning in late assignments, perfectly fine. Just send me a message if something's locked so I can unlock it for you. All right? Have a great summer, and I'll see you online.